So once you get your graph set up in a way where you can see that point of intersection and you can go beyond that a little bit, now it's time to go ahead and take that graph and paste it into a Google drawing. Now I've already shared a Google drawing with you, so you might have to go into your shared with me file like you did earlier and open up the Google drawing that is 142 P1 underscore team, whatever your team is. So for me, it's right here. And this is the one that I've done, already put in a lot of stuff. This is what I'm going to show you how to do right now. But the first thing I need to do is I need to get that graph on the back. So it's going to start out like this, as a totally blank drawing. And I need to be able to see this so I can go back and forth between the drawing and between the Google Sheet. So once I'm in the Google Sheet, I'm going to go down that little triangle and say Copy Chart. And then I'm going to go back over to my empty sheet and I'm going to say Edit, Paste. And that goes ahead and pastes that graph in. Once it's in there, you can go ahead and maybe drag it a little bit, make it larger. Whatever you need to do. If you go over it so you see that little cross there, you can move it around. But somewhere on here, you're probably going to want to have that graph. Now this graph is so large that it's taking up quite a bit of my screen space here, and I'm going to want to put some other things on it. Maybe perhaps I want this to be a little bit longer up and down. So what I can do is go over to File, and what I'm going to do is go to the Page Setup. So right now it says it's set up in a standard 4:3 ratio. I'm going to click that and go down to Custom. So instead of 10 by 7.5, let's try to make it 10 by 10. Now you can see it's resized the whole thing, but I have a little bit of room to work with down here. You can use pretty much any size you want here, just don't make it tremendously small, like smaller than 10 by 7, and we don't want any monster size graphics here. So probably limit yourself to maybe something like 20 by 20. But 10 by 10 seems to be a pretty good size. So what you and your team are going to be doing is you're all going to be working with only one drawing. And what you'll do is you're going to copy and paste the graph from your team that you think you can work with the best and prove which one of these salaries is better. So you're only going to put one graph in here. So whoever's graph that is, they'll probably do the pasting here. And then another student is probably going to have to go ahead and do some labeling, maybe changing colors on things, creating tables. But you're all going to have to work together. And I'm going to be checking to make sure that I see you've all worked somewhat equally on this. So what kind of things can we do here? Well, if you want to put a table of values in here, what you could do is you could go up to where it says Insert and then go down to Table. And if I want, say, a 2 by, I don't know, let's try 6, 7 table, release that, it'll put it in. And then I can go over to the edge, I can drag it down, I can grab the different parts of it and make it larger. So then I can go ahead and fill things in. So maybe I want to type in here year and salary. Now once I've done that, maybe I suddenly decide, oh no, I want to have both salaries on here. I want to put salary 1 in, but I want to pick a second one. I can click here, I can right mouse click, and I can say Insert Row Below. Now I have room to go ahead and do salary 2. As you type numbers in here, whatever you want to put in here, the problem may come up that, oh, I want these aligned kind of in the middle here. So if I click and drag all the way over, now I'm able to go up to this box, and if I want things to be centered, I can click on the center one. If I want them to be vertically aligned in the middle, I can click there. And what that does is it's going to take everything in these different cells that I had selected and make sure that they're aligned horizontally in the center and vertically in the middle. Let's see, what if we want to put some labels on here with some arrows? So for instance, maybe I want to come up here and I could make a line, but I'm going to select and say arrow. So now I'm on my drawing. I'm going to click, and while I'm holding it down, I'm going to drag to where I want that arrow to go. Puts an arrow on there. It's kind of a puny little arrow. So let me go up here to line weight, and let's make it a 4-pixel one. And you have a choice of colors here we could use. We could use a purple one. Man, that's getting pretty crazy. And now I've got a very nice label on there. However, now maybe I want to add some text. This box right here is a text box, so I'm going to click on that button. I'm going to come down here. I'm going to hold my mouse button down and drag. And now I can type in salaries equal, something like that. Now, one of the things I see in here when I type this, it's kind of small. So if I want to make a larger font here, I'm going to click in this. I'm going to drag this over. And now I'm going to go up to here and look at the font size. Let's try a font size maybe 24. That looks pretty good, but unfortunately it kind of overflowed the box. So I can go to the edge of the box and maybe drag it over a little bit. Now that looks pretty good. Well, if I used a purple arrow, maybe what I want to do here is also use some purple text. So now I can select the text. Let's see, there it is, right there, and make it purple. Lots of different things I can do here. Now, if I wanted to change the colors on the graph, I would have to go back to here and change it in the graph before I cut and paste it. So we've got lots of possibilities here. Another thing, you may not like the size of your text here. You could select all of these by clicking and then dragging, and then use a bigger font size. You can bold things, you can underline them, all sorts of different things in here. One of the things you can do is play with some of these things. I've seen some students will say, I want a different border than this border that or this background that I see here. This background's just a clear background, but if you want to change it, so if you want to change the color on that background, just go to some place where you're over the background, right mouse click, and go to background, and now you can choose a background. I like to go with somewhat subtle colors, so I'm going to do white here. And now I've got a white background on it. If you get too colorful sometimes, the problem is you lose the things that are in the foreground. Now, if you need to put some shapes on here, there's a shape button up here. There you can do callouts. You can add equations in here. I've never really tried to do that, but I think most of the time equations are easier when you do them as text. Most of the time what I'm doing is shapes, things like maybe a rectangle. So let me click on rectangle. Then I could come in here and maybe go ahead and draw a rectangle around my graph. The problem is it usually puts a certain color on here, but I can go up here, fill if I want it to be transparent. I'd click that. And now I can go ahead and change the line color. Maybe I choose a blue. And if I want it to be a little bit thicker, I can choose that. So you can frame things. You're almost unlimited in what you can do here. But the idea is all the different things you put on here, you're going to have each one of your team members maybe working on a different aspect of this. You're going to probably have a table filled in here. You may be pointing to some things about the table. But all the things that you have in here, you're each going to kind of contribute to this equally. And you're going to go ahead And this is already shared with me. And so on the due date, I will come in and take a look at this. I'm going to plan on giving you some feedback on the rough copy of your infographic. And then you're going to be allowed to make some changes in it before your final submission. But for now, you're working on Tech 3, which is creating something like this. Hopefully a lot better than what I've done here. But the idea, remember, is you're trying to explain how you choose one salary over the other. So good luck on that, and I look forward to looking at your rough draft.